gentlemen. What was your inspiration for Dax in Stumptown?
I wanted a PI for the aughts. You know, I grew up on Rockford.
That was my next question. It felt very Rockford.
Yeah, oh no, it's deliberate. I grew up on Rockford, and I, you know, matured into Magnum, and then I suffered. Wow, you guys, deep cuts. I suffered through Simon & Simon and Riptide.
Hardcastle and McCormick?
I survived the wasteland that was the 90s, where there weren't any PIs of merit to be found. I got misled by the promise of, you know, the early 2000s of, he's not really a PI. What he is he's an obsessive-compulsive, hypochondriac super genius who's not a PI. And, you know, when I started my writing career, I wanted to write PI novels. And instead, I ended up writing these things that were suspense thrillers. So coming back to Dax was me finally being able to go, hey, I get to do the PI that I want to do.
I think the biggest compliment I could give the show is, you know, pilots are tricky. There's sometimes just like an info dump and telling you everything that's going to happen. But this felt so lived in the best possible way. Even though it was the pilot episode, I knew there was history between all the characters, and I was engaged in them. And every character, no matter how little time they had on screen, felt fully realized. Yeah. It's a really, really impressive pilot. It's
which they're not going to get to see.
Well, we're going to show the cold open, and then at the end we might have a little bit of a sizzle reel exclusive for you guys. Trust me, this will whet your appetites. The pilot is fantastic.
You know, I mean, so much of it comes down to Jason Richmond, who isn't here because he's furiously typing right now. Did such a beautiful job with the pilot, and then the cast. I mean, the cast is just fantastic, and when you have that kind of chemistry, you know, between Cobie and Cole, and it just all of it, the relationships are there.
And it's a great mix of familiar faces and new faces too. There were a lot of new actors in the show who I instantly fell in love with, and we'll get to them when we introduce them in a minute. But Ruben, you want to?
I was just going to say, I think Greg's being modest because when you have great source material, it allows that greater depth. That, like, often with a pilot, you're starting from scratch, and nobody has any context or understanding of what they're acting in, what the tone of the show is, what everything is about. You're just kind of throwing darts at the wall. But we were so lucky to have this incredible series to base the show on. I think that allowed for such a greater depth of character, and for the actors who were interpreting these characters, they have a much deeper understanding than just one single episode of a script that they've read.
Now, how did you guys discover, how were you guys brought into Stumptown?
Yeah, Elias Gertler, who's somewhere here in the hall, who works with us, I think he's from Portland, and he was in Portland, and he was in a comic book store, and he found the book and read it and gave it to me, and I was immediately kind of taken by the kind of the simplicity of what it was, and it was just such a character-driven piece, and I kind of was just the way, the humanity in which Greg kind of treated the character, and all the characters I was really taken with, and so we immediately called his agent, who's also here somewhere, Angela Chen Kaplan, somewhere in the hall, and we got on the phone with Greg, which is always the most intimidating thing for any producer.
It's intimidating for friends of his too. I know
intimidating. You basically have 30 minutes of charm this person you've never met over the phone into giving you the rights to, you know, his life's work. And to his kindness, he let us have the opportunity to figure out what the show was. And you know, it's one of those great pieces that ABC wasn't looking to do a PI show. They weren't looking for this. And to their credit, they kind of, I think, just recognized what we kind of were all passionate about, which was this is a way into telling a story about a great female character, treating her like a human being. She has no superpower. She's just a human, flawed human, who has good intentions, and then allowed us the space to kind of make it feel real and lived in and authentic.
Well, you would think we rehearsed that, because that leads into my next question. This is the first time, I think, in major media where we've seen an Afghanistan vet who's a woman with PTSD. We've seen male soldiers, and seeing Cobie with that and all the flaws that she has, it's brilliant that you have Cobie, because we all fell in love with her on How I Met Your Mother and Avengers. So do you find that you can go even more flawed with her? Yeah, no, give it up for Cobie Smulders.
Yeah, I think when I first got on the phone with Cobie and we talked about it, was like, you're the only person on earth who can play this part because you can do all the colors, you're believable, you're grounded, you're painfully funny, but also painfully, real. And I think she's inherently likable as a person, as you guys will all meet or see when she comes on stage, and just also as a performer. Yeah, it gives you more.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've been friends with her and her husband for almost 20 years, and when I was watching the pilot, I forgot that I knew her, which is the biggest compliment I can give. I was so invested in the character, and it was just pretty spectacular stuff. Now, how does this differ, Ruben, from you? This is your second comic book project, right? From Venom to Stumptown. That's the widest spectrum possible.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, comic books, I think there's a reason why they're making their way to mainstream media is because they're just great stories, great characters, and, we're always, as in the entertainment industry, looking for new stories, and the great thing about, artists like Greg and who have such a voice and such a vision, he makes our job easier because he's provided such incredible source material and characters and stories to draw from. And I think that's true for all the Marvel stuff as well as it is for more indie, smaller things as well.
Awesome.
It all comes back to character.
Absolutely. Well, now I'm being nudged, so I will bring out the amazing cast. First, the lead character, Miss Cobie Smulders, who plays Dax Perry. The new girl is Jake Johnson, who plays Gray McConnell. Should I introduce the rest of everybody and then we'll do the cold open? Is that cool? Patience, this is my first big one of these, so you can hit me up on Facebook and tell me how badly I did later. Okay, next we have Michael Ealy. He portrays one of Portland's finest, Detective Miles Hoffman. There's some sparks fly between him and Cobie. And now the wonderful Emmy Award-winning Camryn Manheim. She plays Lieutenant Cosgrove. She's Mr. Ealy's boss in the police. And next we have Tattoo Cardinal, who plays Sue Lynn Blackbird, the casino owner, and Dex's ex-fiancee's mother. Next is Cole Sebus, who plays Ansel, Dex's younger brother, who brings out her human and soft side. And last but not least, Adrian Martinez, who plays Tuki, a local taco truck vendor with a very complicated past. I guess now we will roll the cold open and then we'll dive back into questions with the cast.
I
think it took like over two
days. Yeah, we shot that portion in Portland. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 2 days.
A day for the interior and then a day for the jump, which is actually real. It's not a visual.
And that's the best cliffhanger for a cold open too. I was so glad I had the whole pilot on DVD at home because I was like, what's next?
Yeah.
And I gotta ask too, when the car is jumping up, are you guys just acting?
It's totally fake. None of that is real. It's a show. It's not real life. Yeah, it was. You know what? It was. Every time I watch it, I'm so amazed by that like slow-mo thing because I'm doing it and I'm like holding the seat and I'm just kind of going like this. And as I'm doing it, I'm saying to myself, this is never going to work. I don't know what we're gonna have. We're gonna have to shoot something else that's never gonna work, and I think it looks great.
It looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. So, Cobie, Dex is a character who fought in Afghanistan and suffers from PTSD. Did you do a lot of research? Did you talk to any other soldiers with PTSD? What did you do to bring that to her?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think we all have a little PTSD in our lives. There's different levels that I think everybody is dealing with. Specifically, we had an expert who I talked to who deals with people who are ex-military coming out of it and have these traumatic experiences and are going through it. So I spoke with her and then read a lot about women in combat and then just put my own stuff in there and yeah, did it that way.
Awesome. Now, what about the fight scene? There's a big fight scene in this with you and the two guys in the car. Not to
training.
Minor spoiler.
No training. That's just me. That's just me, natural state.
Well, you're even
That's just no. There was a lot of training, and continues to be so. When we start our show on Monday, and so there is a lot of training, and it's very exciting. It's always fun to do a job where you get to learn new skills, and we had an amazing team do the pilot and continue to do great sequences. I think that the thing that is very exciting about this show is, my character, she's not a superhero, she's not really highly skilled, but she's like a scrapper, and the fights that we're gonna see throughout the show are going to be really dirty and really grounded and very realistic. And, I'm a woman and I'll come up against men who are 100 pounds, who are 100 pounds heavier than I am. So it's finding ways to even out the playing field, and that's been really cool to choreograph and get into.
My question is for Jake. So you played a bartender on New Girl and you're playing a bartender here. Can you actually make a lot of drinks?
No. Again, this is all fake. It's not real life.
You're crushing my dreams.
But the truth is, the bartender thing, that was the main reason why I took this job.
The only reason?
Yeah, one of the main ones, yeah.
Nice. Michael, you play a detective on the show, and you have some sparks with Cobie, and Jake doesn't necessarily like you a lot. What is it like? Are we going to see that love triangle become a love triangle, or where are we going to go with that?
I don't know how much of a triangle it's going to be. I think Jake's going to be pretty upset most of the season. There are things I can do that he just can't do.
I cannot make a drink, Michael.
Make me drink.
No, I can't.
You don't have a gun.
Camryn, is this your first regular series since Ghost Whisperer?
Regular, maybe. I've done some major arcs on Person of Interest and The Magician, so I'm with my people, yes. But this is my first regular for a bit now, yeah.
Well, I got to say, it's so good to have you back. I think most of us discovered you on the practice. You do quiet, annoyed frustration better than anybody in Hollywood.
It's how I live my life. People piss me off.
Now, Tattoo, what was it like playing a casino owner in this? Did you do research on what the casinos are like on the reservations? And
well, I just did that yesterday, actually. Tour. I've never really been into casinos, to tell you the truth. I kind of like the horses. I hear there's a conflict. So it's really exciting to look forward to this world of exploration. There's lots of Indian casinos around, lots of stories to tell. So let's check it out.
yeah, it was amazing. The pilot sets up this world that's so rich. I could follow any of your characters for a whole season, which is the testament of the solid ensemble you guys have built. It's really so much fun to watch, and it flies by. I watched it twice just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Cole, this is your first TV series, right?
This is my first official TV show I'm on.
Nice. What did you do before this show?
I play Ansel. I play the younger brother of Cobie, who plays Dex.
Yeah, and the relationship you two have is lovely. It really, once again, it allows Cobie's character to be even more damaged and flawed because she has such a loving relationship with her brother. And the relationship between your character and Jake is fantastic too. Once again, I can't say enough how this show feels like you guys have been doing this for 10 years. You can tell it's such a well-oiled machine. It's just so much fun to watch. Okay, let me see here, my notes. Adrian.
What?
It seems like you've got some dark secrets in the pilot. Do you know where they're going to take you?
Yes, I have a lot of dark secrets, and so does Tookie. Every show needs that guy, that studly, handsome guy that makes tacos. And that's me, baby. Thank you. Sit down.
Now, this is a question for the producers here. Are you guys going to be following a lot of the comic stories? Because there's the 4 collections, the 4 graphic novels. Are you going to be?
I think we're using them just for the spirit of them, and I think because we kind of deviate a little bit from it in the pilot, and it's kind of building from that world. But I think this is the tone, the spirit.
By necessity, I mean, one of the things you discover really early is if you take, even if you wanted to do, say, the first arc, or say the 3rd arc, or the 4th arc, Justin Greenwood's out there somewhere, and, like the Timbers arc is one of my favorites, but, thank you, there's somebody who cares. 5 issues comes out to maybe 35 minutes of television, and it's dull. So it's like, the best you can do is the comic, use it as inspiration.
Absolutely.
But trying to directly translate it as a recipe for disaster, it's going to make people really unhappy.
Yeah, you don't want to get anyone happy that way. Now, are you going to be doing any more Stumptown comic books?
Yeah, actually, Justin and I have talked about it. We had always planned to get back to it late this year. Now we have greater impetus.
And if you haven't read the book, there are 4 trade paperbacks out. It's a really, really fantastic book. It's really, really wonderful stuff. As a person of a certain age, I do remember the mixtape and the cassette. And my first car, when I got my driver's license, had a broken tape player like that, where it was, I can't believe I'm admitting this, it was Janet Jackson's Control that was stuck in my car for about 3 years. The music is a character in and of itself. How important was that? Who brought that idea to the table to have music be almost a character in and of itself in the show?
Jason Richmond, the creator of the show, that was his baby. Wish he was here to take credit for it. But yeah, it was something I don't think it was in the original pitch for the show, and it's something that kind of appeared in the first draft of the script, and works super well. So.
Now, the show is both a procedural and is a serialized story. Is there going to be a big bad for it this season, or are there going to be?
Yeah, I think I would describe the show more character-driven with procedural elements, and obviously she's a PI, and so there'll be some PI cases. But I think as we kind of get into the first season, we'll discover there's Jake's character Gray has a secret past that kind of starts to reappear, and probably early on in the first season, and kind of there's a gentleman who appears who ends up being kind of the villain of the first season.
And what about as far as the history of Cobie's character? Are we going to find out about other members of her family? Where are her parents? Are we going to explore that?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. Yes,
I'm curious.
Yes, I think yes. They're as when people watch the pilot, you'll kind of discover that Cobie's there, kind of watching her brother Cole, and we don't really kind of address that situation. And about midway in the first season, we'll start to learn where their parents are and how they ended up in that situation. And there's kind of a really interesting backstory to kind of how they ended up together in the house.
And for the actors, how much do you know about where your characters are going? Did you guys all read the graphic novels? Do you know what your arcs are going to be?
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about the project, to Dave, I immediately asked for copies of the book, and it's kind of the reason I signed on to do it, because Greg does such an amazing job. I mean, they're great. They're great books, but the world is so fleshed out already, and that's truly a benefit, I feel, for an actor to be able to go into a project and already kind of understand what it's going to be like visually, understand the characters, understand the city of Portland a little bit better, and so that was a big deciding factor for me too. And it continues. You know, I think that as the show continues, there will always be this element of the graphic novel in it. You know, we're able to push the boundaries a little bit in terms of cinematography, in terms of camera work and stuff. So we're able to kind of make it a bit more stylized, which is exciting.
Awesome. Okay, now let's go back to you were in the Afghanistan fighting, and we see...
Not me, but yes.
Okay, well, I can't separate. You're so brilliant that I can... You are the same
Stop flirting with me. I'm a married woman.
And I'm gay, so we're doomed.
Never gonna work. It's never going to work, but we can try.
We can talk about boys and like paint our fingernails or something. How much will flashback to your PTSD and to Dex as being in Afghanistan out there be a part of the show? Will it be every episode? Will there be?
I don't know. I don't know if we've decided that. It's certainly in the pilot, and it helps story-wise. It helps with the PTSD of it all, and I hope that we'll be able to go back to those actual moments, but. I don't know if we know yet, but they're certainly helpful in the pilot.
But those moments are super powerful in the pilot. The way you integrate them, it's real like trauma like that. It can be cheap and badly done. But the way it's folded in, especially with the one fight scene, it really makes the character so much more rich. It's really fascinating how you've done that.
Yeah, I would say that I think what's exciting about the show is we're not going to we're going to try and break form. And we're not going to kind of be beholden to this, typical kind of present day, like I said, typical procedural show. So, there'll be some episodes that may be played entirely in flashback. There's a really cool episode where Gray, Jake's character, is going to he's going to go on a trip, and we're going to think he's doing something during that episode, and then the next episode will play the perspective from him. We'll see that he was, up to something else, which I think is cool. But I think using flashback to kind of deepen the characters and deepen the emotion of the characters is something we'll end up doing a lot.
And for the other actors, what has your experience been with the graphic novels, and how did you get brought to this project? We'll just go down the line.
I read the graphic novel. I thought it was great. I got brought to the project by our producer, Dave, who did the best sales job I've ever been a part of in my life. He called up and he pitched it, and I've been a fan of Cobie for a long time, and after reading the comic and hearing how they wanted to do it and the promise that they were going to really push the genre a little bit and try to do something different, for an ABC network show. And I saw the pilot and I thought they did that. So I'm pretty lucky to be here.
We're lucky to have you, Jake.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
I think for me, I read the pilot, and as I told the producers and Cobie when I read it, I couldn't categorize it. It wasn't a legal show, it wasn't a cop show, it wasn't a medical show. It just was different. And I think, I read the graphic novels as well, and that's pretty much, again, the spirit of the show. It's unconventional in such a interesting way that I think it drew me in, and it made me want to be a part of this for a long time.
Hi. I read the pilot first, and of course I read the graphic novels, and I was looking for my character because, you always want to glean some information. My character has a different name in the graphic novels, and he is also a man. So when they asked me to join the company, I said, and I'm sorry, Greg, I did the practice for 8 years, and I lived with a name that I hated, Eleanor Frutt. Even people on my own show got it wrong. They called me Miss Fruit and Miss Fruit, but I didn't. It was my first show I ever did, so I couldn't very well go up to David Kelly and say, this name, Eleanor Frutt. So when they called me to ask me to do the show, they said, we'd like you to play Lieutenant Roberta Volk. And I said, you know what? I gotta just say this right now. I lived with for 8 long years, and I don't want to do it again. And I know we're going to go for 8 long years. So would you consider changing the name? So now I gave a list. I went through my son's directory at his school. It's so true. I said, I'll be Roberta as long as people call me Bobby. Roberta is only saved for, really serious moments. And I just went through A through Z, and the producers picked Cosgrove, so I am Bobby Cosgrove, don't forget it.
That's all right. Hoffman was a woman and gay, so
Right.
that changed effortlessly enough.
I'm sorry. I didn't even check in with you about the name change, but I knew I had to.
Hi. I was asked to play this woman in a series. And I was just blown away by the concept, because how often do we get an Indigenous woman in a principal role in a major series? So I didn't even read the book, man. I just caught the plane. And I got over there.
I love it.
And then after we shot the pilot, then I went and got all 4 books and went, uh-oh. Am I going to really be in the series? I'm only in one story here. And you get a little kind of punch drunk after a while, like it's going to be 50 years, I'm in the business next year. And traditionally, if that's the word, Indigenous women are not in the main story. And I met Greg and I said, man, what happened? Whatever possessed you to create this character? Then there are so many women in our communities that are powerful, that are leaders, that are leading in our communities, that is so exciting, and I'm so honored to be able to sit here and bring Sue Lynn Blackbird to your homes.
Will love her. Sue Lynn's character was so nice to see an Indigenous female character who is arguably the most powerful and scary character in the show, but also human. It's really nice to see the show with 3 incredibly powerful female leads who are all at the top of their game. It's really...
What up, guys? When I got my mom read me the pilot thing, and she read me the script before I got the part. And this crew is amazing right here. I'm sitting with Cobie Smulders, inventors.
For myself, I read the pilot and I just thought I had died and went to heaven. And I'm walking through the clouds in heaven looking for the men's room. And in the distance, I saw Cobie holding up a sign and it said Stumptown. So I just intuitively walked towards the sign. And now here we are.
Now, Greg, I hear there's a couple different stories as to how the term Stumptown came into existence. Which of these stories is the one you believe?
You mean, why is the series?
Why is Portland known as Stumptown? The origin of that phrase.
Well, the series is called Stumptown because Stumptown is the nickname for Portland. The reasons that you hear that Portland is sometimes called Stumptown, Timber City, so there were a lot of stumps. Though the one that I hear a lot is there's a city ordinance that won't allow buildings above a certain height. So that when you're looking across from the east into the west, into downtown, all of downtown's buildings look like they've had their tops cut off. Except for one, which is called Big Pink, where apparently they decided to just keep building regardless of the ordinance. So we have this one building that is like, oh, you're the tall one.
So that's the spin-off, Big Pink?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I suspect that is is exactly, that's direct to HBO.
Nice. Usually I'm the dirty one. Wow. Another spectacular thing about the show is that the city is a character.
Yeah.
It's not Vancouver pretending to be Paris. It feels like a real city and the locations.
We're going like that because it was Vancouver pretending to be Portland.
A little bit, half of it was.
Yeah.
Okay, edit that from the tape.
No, but
How
I get what
important
you're
was it for you to have your hometown be a vibrant character?
For me, I think, and I think you see it, and you saw it in the cold open there. I have not seen Portland look like Portland on TV until I saw that. There's something about the Pacific Northwest light. There's something about the mixture of that architecture. And if you know the city, and of course that's always a cheat, right? But if you know the city, you know what you're looking at. There's a, spoiler, there's a car chase in it. And yes, I know. I can't believe they went there. Literally, the chase is, I realized I wasn't there when they were filming it. And I realized watching it, I was like, oh, my physical therapist is right around the corner there. But I mean, it is so distinctive. And, Portland's had the Mickey taken out of it a lot lately with Portlandia and so on. And with good reason. There is some really bizarre stuff there. But by the same token, it's really wonderful stuff, and it feeds into not just stories for the show, but the characters in such, I think, a vibrant and dynamic way. I think you can't remove the Portland from it.
Yeah, and it's a hard city not to love. And when you go up there, it's got such a rich kind of texture to it. And we filmed half the pilot, or maybe a little bit more, in Vancouver, but we, as producers and designers and the director, James Griffiths, who did an amazing job, we flew to Portland often. We were there. We would do day trips. Greg would drive us around. Our designers would go down there. So we took a lot of care and kind of thought into making sure, that Vancouver portion felt authentic as possible to, what the feel of Portland.
Well, I've been there a couple of times because we have so many friends up there. And I was like, oh, I recognize that. That alone is when there's so much stuff that's in New York and so much LA and so much Chicago. Just having it be someplace that isn't one of those instantly made the show feel fresh.
Well, and the opening gag, right, the blind coffee tasting, that happens. I mean, that is a Portland thing. People are like, what do you think? And it's like, single origin Copiloa? I don't know.
Well, it also just allows for such interesting supporting cast. I feel like so many TV shows, the bad guys are, such stock characters, and you've never seen those two guys are, you'll see in the show, but those are the bad guys that she's fighting, and to have bearded hipsters drinking coffee, it's just so atypical from your typical, whether it's a gang member or, just stock kind of central casting bad guys. So that's one of the cool things about Portland, is allowing the texture to not only be the environment, but also the characters that we're portraying.
Well, it was those two guys.
I'm playing inbound.
See why I'm scared of him?
I don't know about songs, but I think any mixtape with Van Morrison and Joni Mitchell on it is I'd listen to it over and over.
I'm gonna go Prince and Paula Abdul.
Are you a Vibology fan?
You know I am. Let's party.
Are you single? Oh. Asking for a friend. Oh, don't blush.
Yeah, Prince was on my list. So I have to change that. I'm gonna have to go with, as I told Jake backstage, Kenny Rogers. Why? And the other one would probably be Mary J. Blige.
this really puts us in our decade, doesn't it? I just got to go with the truth. It's going to be Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and probably Cat Stevens.
I know. Nora Jones and Ray Charles.
I would say Bruno Mars and Luke Bryan.
I'm going to go with Santana and Billie Eilish. Thank you.
And there's the budget for the rest of the show. Shall we go to the sizzle reel?
Yeah.
Then maybe do a handful of questions from the audience?
Yeah, bring it.
Are we ready to run the... You guys up for a couple of questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's got a question?
Well, we can see them on the screen. That's exciting. Oh, hi.
Hi. I'm wondering who in the cast or amongst the creators thinks they would fit best in Portland.
I live there.
Besides you, like full-on hipster, ready to go.
What's the question?
Who would fit best in Portland? And, like us?
Greg, you should answer that question.
I can get into Portland.
Yeah.
Good coffee, some good places. Sure.
I grew up in Canada, so it's very similar. I'll take it too.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you.
Camryn, you're amazing. And I love the resting bitch face comment. And do you just practice that at home? Or
I don't have to practice it because the world makes me feel it all the time. But really, it's just a big disguise because I think of myself as a pretty nice person.
Hi, first, Jake, okay. What has been the hardest part of your acting careers, and how did you get through and, like, bring it to this role?
Well, first of all, those are great questions. You guys have great instincts. You've won the panel. So, I haven't shot anything on this yet. So, what I'm going to bring on Monday will hopefully be a lot of hard work and instincts honed over the years. Thank you, guys.
Cobie, my Uncle John Oscaro wanted me to say hi.
Hi.
And I wanted to ask you, how does it feel to truly say goodbye to Robin Sparkles?
Oh, I'll never say goodbye to Robin Sparkles. It's always right here. There's a mall tour coming up. No, there's not, but that would be fun.
I will admit, when they played the Tiffany song on the mixtape, I saw Robin Sparkles from...
Yeah, she's always there, just below the surface. Just below the surface, yeah.
Questions for Michael and Camryn. Michael, your character, Camryn's your boss, but you have some sparks with Cobie, and you, in the pilot, help her out in ways that necessarily the police wouldn't. Is there going to be a big conflict between you and Camryn for your side association with Dax?
Yes. It's intolerable.
There's that resting bitch face.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a desire to not let the boss see what's really going on. And, I think that's going to be one of the most fun things to kind of play is the dynamic between Bobby Cosgrove and myself. It's going to be looking forward to kind of going at it. And, let's be honest, look, it's Portland, it's Camryn. I'm sure that she has some stuff in her past that, she doesn't want me to find out. Right, Camryn?
Let's just put it this way. It is Portland, but Lieutenant Cosgrove came from New York. So this is not acceptable. and some shit is gonna go down. See how uncomfortable everybody is? That's my job. I make everybody feel scared. And then I'm just, big puppy. That's it.
Now, Portland is known for being a very quirky city and has a bunch of interesting crimes that have happened in its history. Are you guys doing any research into Portland's history and fictionalizing some of the weirder crimes that have happened there?
Yeah, I think the room has been using, I think there were some writers who actually subscribed to what's the local newspaper, Portland?
The Oregonian.
Oregonian, yes. So I know people subscribe to the Oregonian, kind of using some, real true life stories as inspiration.
I'm very eager to see a story where Tukey's taco truck gets burned down because he wins a Food Network-esque competition. You laugh. There was a Food Network competition. Then there was a car called, I believe, Kim Jong Grillin that got arsoned for winning, and I just loved it. That is so Portland. It is so Portland. It's up there with competitive coffee tasting and bagpiping unicyclists.
That's an image. Wow, bagpiping unicycle? I can't even say that.
In a kilt.
Real? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Cobie, your character had a relationship with Sue's son.
Yes.
What is your relationship? What is Dex's relationship now with her?
Well, we established in the pilot, I'm allowed to say this, right? Okay, cool. Basically, I dated Sue Lynn's son. We grew up together and was very much in love with him, and Sue Lynn did not approve of me. And so I'm not going to give it all away. But some events happened, and basically my PTSD is linked to this past relationship. We're not going to, I don't know how much we might get into flashbacks with it, but currently there's a lot of tension between my character and Sue Lynn because of the history involving her son.
Awesome. Well, we have time for maybe 2 more questions. Do we have anybody else who has a question? I see people getting up.
Don't be scared.
Only be scared of Greg and Camryn. Everyone else is really nice.
This is your moment. This is your moment to shine.
Hi guys. I asked this earlier to you, Cobie, but I wanted to ask it again.
Yes.
In this setting. Can you go into depth if we are going to see Dex's bisexuality on the screen? Because it is a huge thing to have that representation. And
yes.
I don't know if you can go into depth about it.
I'll go into it. I'm ready. Let's freaking dive in.
I know you're like excited for it.
Literally, sorry. We all know. Okay. It was one of, Dex, she's sexually fluid. She's kind of for anything and is definitely attracted to women and to men and is sort of, she tries to recover from her PTSD through sex. I'm allowed to say sex, right? She likes both, and she's kind of up for anything. It's one of the things that drew me to this character. And speaking to, it's so funny whenever you start a show, they're like, will they or won't they between different characters? And I really believe that Dex is incapable of a long-term relationship at this moment. So she sort of floats between, whoever's available.
Less will she or won't she than should she? And the answer is probably not.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to it.
Yes, thanks for bringing it up. Oh my gosh, she's so adorable.
Okay, so this is for Jake. If you had to be your character in this show or a New Girl, which would you choose and why?
If I could be my character in this one or that one, if I could choose, well, I know that one a lot better. So this feels like a new relationship. So this character, I'm interested in Gray, but I know Nick Miller pretty well. I think we're gonna have to see what happens with Gray, but I'm really excited to play this character. I'm excited about this cast. I'm excited about what the writers are doing, but we're gonna have to, time will tell. Let's do like a weird thing in 7 years, ask that again.
Hi. My question is, since we only really saw Cobie's character, could you guys explain your guys' characters?
You want to start the opposite way this time?
Yeah, let's.
Well, Tookie is not in the original graphic novel, but I see that as an opportunity to take advantage of an open slate and kind of create the character myself with the creative team, so it's very exciting. I do see him as kind of like Dex's guardian angel, like when she needs somebody to really talk to and tell her what's really going on. She comes to Tookie for my tacos and for some advice, and I'm looking forward to it. And I make a mean taco, by the way.
I play Ansel, her younger brother.
Let's see. Let's find out as the show goes on. Who am I? Let's see. I think that Sue Lynn is kind of a, what is that? It's kind of a challenge for Dex. And aside from that, it's a real opportunity to tell some stories that might not be seen before, told before.
I'm looking forward to these incredibly powerful female characters, and what I love about our relationship and what I know so far is that it's complex. I find her a bit of a menace to our work because I'm a lieutenant and I have to get the job done, and she's out on her own kind of going rogue. But in a strange way, I really admire her, and she's able to uncover things in the darker, seedier part of life that I can't maybe get to. So I admire her and I appreciate her, but I need to keep her in check, or else, things are just not gonna go as planned. So, but I'm really looking forward to that relationship.
I think for me, I played Detective Miles Hoffman, and I think there's a lot to be made up about the relationship between Dex and Hoffman, but I think once you've seen the pilot, you'll understand that Hoffman can see in Dex a purpose, and see that she is useful, she's helpful, and she's much more than what you see on the surface. And I think that she is, she might seem a little bit messy, but who isn't?
You take off once I get there. I didn't even say anything wrong yet. Let me screw up before you leave. I'm just kidding. Is that Spider-Gwen you're wearing, by the way?
Yeah.
You look awesome.
Thank you.
It's very cool. I play Gray in this. I am friends with Cole's character. We work together, and I'm excited to work with my guy Cole. So I'm excited about that. Love triangle, love triangle, love triangle, Michael. And that's what I know. I also know he has a past that will get revealed, and that was part of the pitch, which I like, that it's, we're going to expose love triangle. And that's where we're at. Great Spider-Gwen, looking cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but I think the hope for the show and what we're going to execute well is just really rich, well-textured characters treated with respect, and it's really exciting to be able to tell stories that haven't been told on television before, from Cobie's character down, and all that again is comes from Greg's genius kind of creation, and I want to publicly thank him for trusting us, Greg. I'm complimenting you, Greg. I want to publicly thank you for trusting us with your baby, and Jason Richmond, the creator of the show, who's unfortunately not here, who's working on the show.
To answer all these questions.
Yes,
what he's doing.
Exactly, and want to thank him for a beautiful show, and I'm excited for everyone to get to see it and hopefully like it.
Well, we are unfortunately...
You gotta let this man go. He's standing right there. Quick.
50 seconds on the clock. 48, 47.
Hey, Cobie, this question's for you. I'm a fellow Vancouverite as well. So is there a comparison between your training on this show and training in like Avengers?
Yeah, there's much more on this, because in all the Marvel stuff, Maria Hill, she has the power of the Bluetooth. She's got she's got them on speed dial, but she's not going after anybody. So the training on this is much more intense. Yeah.
And what Cobie does is amazing, and she's big, humble, but she is incredible in the pilot. I'm excited for everyone to see it. She kicks ass.
She truly does. Well, thank you all for coming.